Hey everybody and welcome. So, I want to talk about the old technology to new technology ability for stuff. First I want to show you a demonstration of what I mean of this by showing you guys Tesla. Now Tesla has a nice cool car and jazz like that. The range is awesome. The technology behind it is very cool. But there's one design flaw they've made that really destroys the entire vehicle itself. And that's the same thing that you're using for your phone. Yeah, this guy. Now, you're wondering, how does that destroy the entire design of the entire vehicle? Here's the trick. Let me ask you this. If I take away this touchscreen, how are you going to turn your AC on? How are you going to turn your radio on? How are you going to shift through your gears? Or change your suspension altitude? Or stuff like that? Oh, that's right. You're not. Because once this touchscreen goes bye-bye, or has any issues, your entire car is... Yeah. 90% of the components for the Tesla vehicles are in this screen. So if this screen has any issues whatsoever, the entire car goes bye-bye. Let's go back to the 90s or the 80s or whatever such forth, to the old electric cars. Now the old electric cars basically took the engine out of the equation for their vehicles, but they kept all the components of the gas vehicles. So you still had key switches, so you turn on your car, instead of going, it's just boop, it's on. You had component buttons to turn your radio on, your AC with the AC knob, jazz like that. Easy. So if one of those components died, guess what happens? Yeah, I can still drive. No problem. So if my AC goes bad, then, well, okay, I can get the switch out and replace it. Or change the button out. Or replace a light. That's what companies don't seem to tell you guys nowadays. The biggest issue with new technology is that they are going to be simplistic, but they're not as reliable as what the olden days had. Same thing for bicycles. We have bolt-on, quickly skewers, and Thru-Axles, and we have Quill stems to Threadless. We have free wheels and cassette systems. Now, companies don't really seem to tell you guys this, but this is how it is. Bolt-on systems are superior to all the other technologies. They do, however, have one drawback. You have to have tools. But you have the reliability of the strength, stiffness, and nobody's going to steal the skewers from you. So you'll still be able to ride no matter what. Now they are heavier, but they're reliable, and they're going to definitely take you on your task that you want to go. Quick release skewers, the 9mm versions that basically were similar to bolt axles, but basically cut the ends of the bolts for just a slight little nib on the tips to have it so it sits into the standard bolt axle piece of the frame. So they didn't change the frame, they just made it just like that, and then you have the skewer that goes through the middle of the hollowed axle piece and sort of squeezes the wheel in place. But it doesn't hold it as hard as a bolt axle does. A bolt axle holds it a lot more harder, and I mean seriously harder, than what you would do for a quick release skewer system. Because with a quick release skewer, you're just basically going like that. You're not like or really drilling your hand into that. So they're not as stiff. And I'll get to that topic in a second. So these were kind of designed for quick removal wheels, and they were kind of designed for road bikes because people travel with those a lot, and they really want to stay lightweight, so they don't want to bring a lot of tools. So this gives them a better peace of mind of transferring the wheels if they get flat and so forth. But they're not stiff. So people tried to use these on other bikes than just road bikes, like mountain bikes. And this came problematic for a lot of people because they weren't as holdable as what mountain bikers want. So they don't have the strength or the stiffness for it because they're not as tight to hold on to the frame ability, because the frame goes like this when you're doing sharp turns and going down intensive hills. So manufacturers designed the Thru-Axle system that basically gave a similar kind of concept to the quickly skewer system, but gave a better stiffness to it, because basically they changed the entire bike frame design itself by drilling out the axle dropouts and making it for a circle instead. So now it's basically drilled through the entire frame instead of basically just hanging by the frame. So when you put your tire on, you put that entirely through the frame, the axle, then to the frame again. So it works similar to a quickly skewer system, but you don't have to put it so tight as a bolt-on axle system does. So you have that entire stiffness there, because now when the frame moves, it's keeping the axle entirely straight with the frame because it's a part of the frame basically. But you still get to quickly remove it from the axle, from the wheel, because now you have that system integrated with it. But they don't tell you this thing, is that they're not as strong as bolt axles are, because they hollow out the middle of these through-axle systems as much as they hollow out for quickly skewer systems. So if you want strength and reliability, you would have to stick with standard bolt axle systems. If you want stiffness but quickly removal systems, especially for a mountain bike, then through-axles are a good option. But if you want for a road bike or just a classic all-around bike, then a quickly skewer system works okay. But if you're going to rip down hills and you don't want to have your bike break down or completely fall apart, go with a bolt system. Same thing for threadless versus quill stem systems. If you want a bike that's going to be reliable, strong, and pretty awesome, go for a quill stem system, which is basically a thread fork system. That's going to keep you on the road, and it's going to have a lot more strength to it than what a threadless system does. Now, a threadless system is nice, it's convenient, again, just like a through-axle quickly system, but it doesn't have as much strength. It is lighter weight, but not as much strength. And to counter that lesser strength system to it, they tried to make it less flexing. So to do that, they made tapered forks nowadays. Same thing with your handlebars. They wanted to make it lighter weight, so they made the dimensions of the handlebar adapter piece, instead of basically making it the handlebars much thicker in dimension inside the entire handlebars themselves. They wanted to make them thinner and lighter, so they had to increase the size from 25.4 meters to 31.8 and they made that area thinner, and then it tapers down to a more thicker walled system. And then they have the clamp system that's a lot more wider compared to standard 25.4s. And the reason why those are thinner, smaller, and have a smaller clamp system is because they're much more thicker systems. So that's why they have these kind of different technologies. They are nice, they're lighter, and they look stiffer, but they're not as reliable in strength-wise. So if you want to go for strength, then yeah, you have to go for the old school systems. But if you want for lightness and stiffness, the new stuff is nice, but it's not gonna hold as strong as what you can do for a beat down old bike. I mean, you can literally thrash an old bike and it is going to last more than 50 times longer than a new bike would last. So you will have to bring a lot more tools to it and whatnot, and you will be probably about a bit more heavier than somebody with a new bike, but you'll be able to tell them that I'm going to outlast you by 50 times more. I mean, I'll be able to beat down this bike and keep going. I mean, your bike will probably last for a while, but then it'll start getting some problems, or probably breaking issues. But yeah, so yeah, it helps to do a little bit more research on these kind of things. I mean, it's nice to have these new components and jazz like that, but sometimes you really have to kind of backtrack and look at the old stuff that actually has been around for quite a while, and it's still quite great compared to nowadays. Just like Bluetooth versus old wireless headphones. I mean, Bluetooth is nice, but it has a lot of problematic issues. But when it comes to standard wireless systems like 900 megahertz or even less hertz systems, all you have to do is just turn it on and it works, compared to Bluetooth where you have to pair it, digitalize this, digitalize that, or whatnot, and have all these type of different program buttons and whatnot. It's like, dude, I just want headphones. I don't want like an entire computer through my ears. I just want to go boom, it works. And that's what the old school does. It's awesome. So, don't believe me? You can look through the entire researchability. Go look through sites and see that tells you about how Thru-Axles are, quickly skewers, bolt-on systems, Quill stems versus Threadless, cassettes versus freewheels, hollow tech cranks versus square taper systems, all this jazz. I mean, it's pretty mind-boggling, but once you actually get to know about this stuff, you actually realize, man, I kind of feel scared now. It's like, you got this new stuff, but they don't really tell you that this new stuff is not really as great as you think. Like, if I put my weight, if I bought hollow tech cranks, it's like, yeah, that's cool and all, but you know, there's not as much room for all those threads to hold that amount of pressure to your cranks. I mean, yeah, it's great, but there's not much room for it to hold that much ability. So for having much more better strength, square taper systems rule compared to hollow tech systems. So it's like, you'll probably compromise for more weight and such forth, but you're going to have much more better strength again, versus less weight but less strength. Anyways, see you guys later. Peace out.